What's happening? And today I will be recapping episode 4 of Deal or No Deal Island. The episode starts with Kim watching Boston Rob talking to his allies Nick and Aaron, and Kim comments to herself saying that she's like a cat with 9 lives because she narrowly avoided elimination for the last 2 episodes. We also get to hear from Miranda for the very first time. And the reason why we haven't heard from her yet is because she said that she's not there to play the cutthroat game, but instead just wants to be there for the adventure. Miranda then tries to fill the scene with positive vibes by gathering all of the players and getting each of them to say what they're most thankful for. During this group conversation, Amy then talks to Aaron and says that she wants to speak with him in private. While speaking to Aaron in private, Amy mentions that she wants to go to the final 2 with Aaron because she thinks he'd be easier to beat. Aaron, being that he's a close ally of Boston Rob, then tells Boston Rob that Amy wants to go to the end with him. This causes Boston Rob to want to get Amy out of the game. We also get this little moment between Aaron and Alyssa, and Aaron brings up that he plays Magic the Gathering and compares all of the cast members remaining to cards from Magic the Gathering. And one of the cards that he mentioned is he says that Alyssa is like the princess. After that, we go to the challenge. The challenge for today involved the 10 remaining players being split into 2 teams of 5, where they would then go on a boat to retrieve 2 cases. The catch is, these 2 case values were hidden, and the first team to get back gets to choose either whether they want to bluff or guess. The bluffer's role is that they open up the 2 cases they took back with them, and the cases are positioned in a way so that the other team can't look at the values. From there, the guesser has to guess which of the 2 cases has the higher value. For the teams, there was the gold team, which consisted of Boston Rob, Dawson, Nick, Kim, and Stephanie, while the silver team consisted of Aaron, Alyssa, Jordan, Amy, and Miranda. And for every round, a member of the silver team was the bluffer and a member of the gold team was the guesser. Each team also nominated a captain. The purpose of the captain is if their team wins, they get to pick one person from the losing team to be up for elimination against the banker. The captain for the gold team ended up being Dawson, while the captain for the silver team ended up being Amy. The gold team was on a hot streak as they were able to correctly guess the higher valued case from the silver team in the first 3 rounds. It also helped that Boston Rob mentioned in the confessional that he was a psychology major in college and mentioned the tricks he learned in college to know which value has the higher cases. Things then took a turn in the 4th round where Nick was unable to correctly guess from Alyssa the higher valued case. And it got even more interesting in the final round when it was Boston Rob versus Aaron. Aaron took off his glasses when opening the cases, so he really didn't know what the values were. From there, Boston Rob revealed in a confessional that he thought the case on the right had the higher value because of how Aaron was trying to hide a smirk. This smirk ended up being a case of reverse psychology as he guessed wrong, and Aaron ended up outplaying Boston Rob. And because of this, Aaron was able to win the challenge for the silver team, which put the gold team up for elimination against the banker. After the challenge, Boston Rob decides to talk to Amy and says that he would like to be the one to play Deal or No Deal against the banker. Why Boston Rob wants to play Deal or No Deal against the banker is because he would rather be in control of his own fate rather than have someone else control his own fate. And he would not want Kim or Stephanie to play Deal or No Deal against the banker because if they make a good deal, then it's his ass that's going home. Dawson then catches sight of what Rob is doing and then nominates that he wants to play Deal or No Deal against the banker. Dawson then even mentions in a confessional about how Boston Rob is playing Amy like a fiddle. At the temple, Amy accepts Boston Rob's request to play Deal or No Deal against the banker, which Boston Rob ends up doing. There were 20 cases total, and Boston Rob had to open 8 cases for the first round. And he actually had an atrocious first round, as 7 of the 8 cases he knocked out were on the right side of the board, with the only remaining amounts on the right side of the board being $100,000, $400,000, and $600,000, with every other amount being 3 digits or less. Because of this, Boston Rob accepted the deal of $49,000, which basically meant he had a 3 out of 4 chance of making a good deal. He ended up making a good deal as that case amount held only $500, and from there he gets to choose one of his teammates that he wanted to eliminate. Boston Rob mentioned in a confessional that he wanted to send home either Stephanie or Kim, but ended up choosing Kim because if he chose to eliminate Stephanie, he thought it would reveal to the rest of the cast that he's playing long term. We also got an amazing exit confessional from Kim where she said, "I have no words for Rob. I have no words for someone who played Survivor 4 times and a 62-year-old woman scared the shit out of him." But the episode wasn't over just yet, since the banker called Joe again and then Joe asked Boston Rob who he trusted the most. Boston Rob then said the person that he trusted the most in this game was Aaron, given that the two are very close allies. Because of this, Aaron stayed at the temple while everybody else left to go back to camp. And that was the end of the episode. As for what I thought about this episode, even though it wasn't as good as last week's episode, I still found it to be very enjoyable. I liked that we finally get to hear from Amy and Miranda after being practically invisible in the first 3 episodes. And going based on what I saw in the first half of the episode, I was almost certain that Amy was going to flame out in this episode. This was not only because she got a sudden increase in screen time, but the screen time she did get portrayed her as very wishy-washy. But since Amy's team was safe in that episode, it really threw me off guard. So thank you, Edit, for not making it come off as predictable, I guess. I also like that scene during the challenge where Nick was trying to use his charm to get the higher valued case from Alyssa, only for it to completely backfire. And again, I also liked how well Boston Rob was able to convince Amy to have him play Deal or No Deal against the banker. Even though Amy said that she didn't want Boston Rob to play Deal or No Deal against the banker, and even Dawson nominated to play Deal or No Deal against the banker instead, she ended up choosing Rob. Which I find to be very funny because she wants to get Rob out, yet she's listening to what Rob says. Like, how does Rob do this? It's very impressive. I also love the numerology that Boston Rob used when picking the cases, as he chose the birthdays of his daughters, his wife, and the rest of his family when picking the cases, even though they all got him high amounts. And speaking of numerology, after that challenge, I thought Boston Rob was going home for sure. Why I thought Boston Rob was going home because his first time playing, he ended up finishing 10th on Survivor Marquesas, which was the 4th season. And on this episode of Deal or No Deal Island, which was the 4th episode might I add, there were 10 contestants left in the game, so I thought numerology was going to play a role there as well. As for my predictions in the future, I feel like Aaron might play a critical role in the next episode's challenge, given that he was there to stay behind at the temple while everybody else went back. I also think that we're going to be hearing more from Amy in the future. Why I believe this to be the case is because after Kim left, I feel like Amy is going to take the role as the new Boston Rob adversary for the story of the season going forward. But enough about what I have to say. What do you think about this episode? Were you sad that Kim ended up going home? Were you impressed with Boston Rob's performance in this episode? Did you like how Aaron was able to psych out Boston Rob in his own game in that challenge? Because of that, do you think Aaron is learning from Boston Rob a little too well? Feel free to leave your takes in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.